You find a cheap boat online, and for a few minutes, it feels like a shortcut to freedom. No mortgage, no landlord, just a small floating home tied to a dock with coffee in the morning and water outside the window. And the price looks possible. That is where many boat dreams begin. But cheap boats are tricky. Some are smart buys, others are cheap because the expensive problems have been waiting for the next owner. So this is not a list of active listings. We are not saying buy this exact boat. Instead, we are looking at real boat models and boat types that budget-minded buyers often consider when they start thinking about living aboard, cruising slowly, or finding a more affordable way to live near the water. Because a budget boat can be a path to freedom, but the wrong budget boat can become a very expensive lesson. Let's start with Mainship. A Mainship 34, Mainship 350, or Mainship 390 often comes up in budget trawler conversations because these boats can feel practical. They usually offer a real salon, usable galley space, good visibility, and a layout that feels more like a small home than a weekend toy. For slow cruising, marina life, or a manageable live-aboard setup, a Mainship can make sense. But a practical layout does not erase age. On any older Mainship, you still need to think about engine access, soft decks, leaking windows, old wiring, tired tanks, worn canvas, and maintenance history. A Mainship can be a smart budget choice if it has been cared for. But if years of repairs have been postponed, the affordable purchase price can disappear quickly. The second boat to understand is the Marine Trader 34. This classic older trawler attracts people because it looks like the boat life dream. Warm wood, traditional lines, often a double cabin layout, the feeling of a small floating apartment. You step inside and think, I could live here. And maybe you could. But with older trawlers like the Marine Trader 34, condition matters more than charm. Fuel tanks, water tanks, decks, windows, electrical panels, plumbing, engine mounts, and hoses all deserve attention. A Marine Trader can give you a lot of boat for the money, but it can also give you a lot of old boat problems at the same time. The emotional trap is nostalgia. You see morning coffee and a quiet marina, but the boat does not care about the dream. The boat only cares about maintenance. So if you look at a Marine Trader, do not just ask, can I afford to buy it? Ask, can I afford to bring it back to a safe, dry, reliable condition? Now let's talk about the Grand Banks 32. The Grand Banks name carries weight. A Grand Banks 32 is not usually the cheapest boat in the marina, but it teaches an important budget lesson. Sometimes the smarter choice is not the biggest boat you can buy, but the smallest quality boat you can actually maintain. A respected brand can still have old tanks. A quality hull can still have deck leaks. Do not buy the reputation. Buy the actual boat in front of you. Next is the Albin 27. This is not the boat that impresses everyone at the dock. It is smaller, simpler, and more modest. But for some buyers, that is exactly why it makes sense. An Albin 27 is not going to feel like a floating condo. It will not give you endless storage or a huge living space. But it may offer something more important, manageability. Smaller boats can mean lower slip fees, lower fuel use, simpler systems, easier handling, and fewer things to maintain. With a boat like the Albin 27, the question is not, can I live aboard the biggest boat possible? The question is, how much space do I actually need to be happy? For the right buyer, a smaller, simpler boat can create more freedom than a bigger boat that constantly asks for money. Now let's move into aft cabin motor yachts. A model like the Carver 355 or Carver 356 can feel surprisingly comfortable. You may get a large salon, an aft stateroom, a forward berth, two heads, a real galley, and the kind of separation that makes the boat feel livable. For dockside living, this can be very appealing, but more space usually comes with more systems. A boat like this may have twin engines, a generator, air conditioning, multiple heads, more plumbing, more electrical demand, more canvas, and more exterior surface to maintain. The boat may feel like an apartment, but it is still a machine sitting in water. An aft cabin motor yacht can be a great live-aboard choice if your priority is dockside comfort and you understand the maintenance that comes with size and complexity. But if you buy it only because the interior looks huge for the money, you may be buying a lifestyle that costs more than expected every month. The next example is the Bayliner 4788 Pilothouse. This is the kind of boat that can make a budget buyer stop scrolling. It is big, it has presence, and it can feel like a lot of boat for the money. And sometimes that is exactly why it is dangerous. A big budget boat is still a big boat. Even if the purchase price looks attractive, the slip is still bigger. The engines are still bigger. The haul-out is still bigger. The systems are still more complex. The Bayliner 4788 is not a bad boat. The point is that large boats attract budget buyers because they appear to offer maximum lifestyle for minimum purchase price. But the purchase price is only the first door. After that door, you meet insurance, docking, fuel, repairs, upgrades, and the cost of every system included in that great deal. So if you are drawn to a big budget boat, ask one question before anything else. Could I still afford this boat if 3 expensive things broke in the first year? If the answer is no, the boat may be too big for your budget, even if you can afford to buy it. Now we should talk about sailboats. A Catalina 30 is one of the classic examples. It is popular, familiar, and often discussed as an affordable cruising or live-aboard sailboat. For someone who wants a simpler life, lower fuel use, and the romance of sailing, a Catalina 30 can be attractive. But be honest about why you are looking at it. Are you buying a sailboat because you actually want to sail? Or are you buying it because it seems cheaper than a powerboat? Those are very different decisions. Sailboats can be wonderful, but they are not maintenance-free. Rigging ages, sails wear out, decks leak, engines still need care, electrical systems still fail, plumbing still matters, and the living space can feel narrower and more divided than a powerboat of similar length. Cheap is not enough. The boat has to match the life, and that brings us to the real lesson. The best budget-friendly boat is not always the cheapest one. It is the boat that fits your real plan. A Mainship may be practical. A Marine Trader may feel classic. A Grand Banks may feel high quality. An Albin may be efficient. A Carver may feel comfortable. A Bayliner 4788 may feel like a lot of boat for the money. A Catalina 30 may offer a low-cost path into sailing and living aboard. But none of them are automatically the right boat. The right boat is the one where the condition, layout, systems, size, and monthly costs all match your actual life, not your fantasy life, the real one. Because buying a boat is not just buying fiberglass, engines, and wood. You are buying your daily routine, every rainy day at the dock, every repair bill, every grocery run, every tight walkway, every quiet sunset, every moment when the boat either feels like freedom or feels like a mistake you are still paying for. So before you buy a cheap boat, slow down. Learn the models, learn the trade-offs, learn what makes one boat affordable and another boat dangerous. A budget boat can still be a beautiful way to live, but only when the boat fits your money, your patience, your skills, your body, and the life you actually want, not just a dream that made you click on the listing.